Yes, I asked Professor Barringer if he traveled a lot, he lived a lot among the others, jurisdiction, whatever tradition, spiritual tradition, religious tradition, to share with us some thoughts about what would be the bridge building initiative or whatever, meetings or symposium or whatever, could help us to come closer our self-Christian today.
Something I left out of what I had prepared because of time was a phrase that we perhaps need to let go of the way we define the way other people understand Christian faith, God, particularly when we're using this model of the three confessions, Orthodox, Catholic, and Protestant, that one of the most positive benefits of being able to spend real time in another world, or even a very different part of your own world, as in my case, spending many years in South America, is that you have to let go of the boxes, as it were, that you build around people to keep them there. And you have to begin to listen more deeply to who they are. I think this is not unconnected with this space that Maria has spoken of through a kind of parousia. But there are, as we know, as you know, each of you individually, that there are surprises and dimensions of yourself that no one really can understand, and that you have a great difficulty yourself to articulate. I think we have to give one another the benefit of that doubt and to listen in a way in which we're not just waiting for the silence so that we can talk again. And you need time for that. I was blessed, I think, to have that time.
Come to the micro, because nobody will hear you for the question, please.
So Maria wants to do theology as a bold dialogue. So I'm going to provoke one. It's between her and Dragos, who are both lay people. It's a two-part question to both of them. One part says, if Maria is right, then the entire Clementine paradigm can't work. The idea that theology is the reflection on self-evident truths. What are these self-evident truths? And yet, if one is going to speak boldly, surely one is speaking boldly because the truth has become self-evident. Where did one find it? Right? But that's the only justification then for speaking boldly. Both of them have ruled out science. The footnote to that is that I didn't hear all morning the word grace, and I'm wondering where it fits into all this. The other part of the question, Maria spoke about risk-taking and putting yourself at risk and ending up on the cross, is the fact, it goes back to the Constantinian model. We're in a room with 6 bishops, and it's ever since Constantine become the model that if you need an arbiter of the truth, if you're engaged in one of these dialogues about truth and you can't sort it out and you don't know who's the heretic, a bishop will tell you, or at least all the bishops collectively will tell you. And so in the new model theology, each of them's talking about a new model theology. Where does this fit in?
First of all, I'm not a lay person. I'm an Orthodox Church in America priest and ordained priest. Having 2 children and living in Montreal, serving in the French-speaking community there in Montreal. I also hope the grace of God is inspires me to the extent might inspire any Christian or the Orthodox or Catholic or Protestant. I have the spirit will be in my ideas or perceive it. On the other hand, I don't know how much I would be challenging. In fact, I think that dialogue should be based both on reason and tradition, and to the extent we are able to be anchored in spirit. And this dialogue, of course, traditionally in Christianity is not only led by bishops or priests. We know that Clement of Alexandria or Maximus the Confessor, they were not ordained. It's part of the tradition, yes, that reason and tradition have to go together. And to a certain extent, what I was trying to do today was to attempt to try a new type of language, insert a new type of language, coming specifically from philosophy, phenomenology, and come with some answers and use it from this philosophical perspective. In fact, we the Orthodox probably have to adjust a little bit our discourse to modern times, and probably this would be the in fact the new paradigm of Orthodox theology. Of course, we have the great tradition of Losky and Meyendorff, and who and Father Staniloae, who in fact made orthodoxy known to the world. But in fact, theological language today in the world, in Protestant communities and Catholic traditions, in fact, there are so many philosophical paradigms working there, and it's an ongoing dialogue, in which I'm afraid Orthodoxy is not part in its time. And yes, beyond any idea of challenge or unchallenging things, we probably try to adjust and be part of this dialogue, I think. And probably that's that might be the task of a new generation of theologians. To be part of this dialogue with different paradigms, either analytic or phenomenological or narrative and so on. And that's maybe I can.
If you you can. Still 2-3 minutes there.
Oh, that's fine. I just want to say that first of all, I do not see us to be in any kind of contention or anything like that. I'm very careful to say that I'm not disclaiming other modes of doing theology. I'm merely trying to propose a third one. But to the question of self-evident truth, I think it's an important question. We certainly do think that self-evident truth, if it obtains, must be something like a scientific proposition that we all can assent to, or something like a thing that we can point to and say, I've experienced that, right? But again, the truth that I'm speaking about, right, the truth that comes about not in a dialogue, but probably in a trialogue or a tetralogue, in which the parrhesiast is engaged within the tradition, within the church, etc., really depends on truth not being self-evident. The Christ that comes to the apostle walking to Emmaus, right, does not reveal himself immediately. They don't recognize him. It's only after wrestling for a while that something happens. And it is precisely by the veiling, by the very act of veiling himself, that Christ actually coaxes them, encourages them, maybe offends them or surprises them into seeing truth. And I think that may be a very helpful way of approaching theological dialogue, so that it becomes not just a whole bunch of language that people don't understand, but actually a space for encountering Christ. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, now we have a coffee break. I think you have